Good morning. Let's go, let's go.
No. We hope.
How are you, brother? Let's start this class, my dear people here. Okay. I'll start asking for prayer requests, and I will start by this side. Yeah. Let's pray for your cars and in order to fix it, and you can have mobility. You can move in without any issue, of course. Let me go here, the middle. Okay.
So one of Caitlin's uncles who's still been battling cancer, he had another PET scan done, and it still shows it in his neck, and then now another spot on his foot.
Okay, Micah, question. After all the prayer requests, could you pray to start this class? Yeah, then I will go here, and after the prayer request by this side, our brother Micah will pray. Yes.
Rudy Levicchio had a fall, broke her femur, and of course Rudy's in her 90s. She's got dementia, and I think they've just decided the best thing would be to put her into hospice care. And so I know that Bo and Mark are really upset. So just keep them in prayer. Keep Rudy in prayer.
Okay.
And Margie, she's back at home. She's still having heart issues, so she'll have to go back and talk to the doctor about all that. But I think just, everything's just kind of overwhelming. She's having physical problems. She just lost her husband at the same time. And so she's just going through a lot, but she's so grateful to the church here. She's mentioned several by name, but just calling, checking on her, just offering to help in any way. And so just want to thank everybody for really reaching out to her. It's awesome.
Okay. Good. Micah. Oh, yes, sir.
I didn't know if you got this side of the room yet. I just walked in. Go ahead, Micah. Oh, you're the one to pray. Oh, my boat captain in Alaska, Frank Bolovich, his mother is 83 years old. She gets around pretty good for an 83-year-old woman. I mean, she walks her dog every day, and she was walking her dog about 2 days ago, and little video dog, she ran this way and pulled her, and she fell over and dislocated her hip. I mean, not her hip, her shoulder. But she's
Yeah.
been down and everything, and we want to keep the Bolovich family in our prayers.
Perfect.
Bolovich. Just say Frank's mama. Sharon is her name.
I think I had everybody.
Okay.
Let's pray. Dear God, thank you so much for this opportunity that we have to be here this morning and spend some time worshiping you, Lord, and just studying your word. Thank you for Luis and his understanding of this book, Revelations, that we're going over, Lord. And just thank you for this time we get to spend and just being able to process it and learn it, Lord. Just please be with Ronnie and his cancer, Lord. Just please watch over him, Lord, and give him healing, Lord. Just please be with his family as they're with him. Please be with Ruby, battling her dementia, Lord. Just please be with her family as well, watching over her. Please be with Margie and her heart, Lord. Just please put your hand on her and help her to heal, Lord. And just please be with her and give her health as well, Lord. And please be with Frank and his mother. Please be with her shoulder and help her to have a swift recovery from that, Lord. We just thank you all so much, Lord. We know there's other over them, Lord, and just please keep us all safe. And thank you for guarding our health as well, Lord. Just thank you for us having the opportunity to be here. In your son's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Okay, we got our class number 33. There's a lot. And for this morning, we will go in the book of Revelation, chapter 14. Remember, what? We are walking and moving. So, from our last class, we have a question, and the question is, it's because in the chapter 13, in the book of Revelation, says the number 42, the saints, the church, they spend 42 months in a crisis time. So, from our last class, somebody, I thought it was you, Katie. You made a question like, "What is the meaning of 42 months?" and stuff like that. And I say, "Hold on, my dear sister. We will." And then now we will answer that question that is the pending task from our last class. And after that, we will go for the chapter 14. So when we read the book, the number 42, it says 42 months, and I tell you it means a short time. But let me explain a little bit more this. This number 42 is linked to the book of Daniel. It means we find the same number in the book of Daniel, and its equivalent expressions appear there: a time, at times, and a half of time, and a half a time. We find it in Daniel 7, chapter 7, and Daniel chapter 12. Same thing: a time, times, and a half time. And this is interesting here. When you go to read the Bible, in the book of Daniel, you find a 42 month, you find this here, and you find this here. What is interesting is, can you calculate how many is 42 months in years? 3.5 years. Okay, that's when Daniel says 3 years and a half, and his 42 months, he's referring to the same thing. It's a different way to say it. Also in the book of Revelation, remember, the book of Revelation has been telling us since the chapter 8, they are talking about the judgment of the evil, the judgment of Satan, the judgment of the evil empires. They are telling us through trumpets. They are telling us about that, about the beast. John, he's trying to tell us the judgment of the evil and Satan by God in so many different ways. And he said, previous chapters, that the crisis will be 3 years and a half. And now in the chapter 13, he says the crisis will be 42 months. He's talking about the same thing here in a different ways to say it. But what happened with a time, times, and a half time? What we have here, reader.
In Jewish apocalyptic literature, this period came to symbolize a time of crisis preceding God's definitive intervention. Historically, it likely refers to the persecution of the Jews under the rule of Antiochus IV Epiphanes in the 2nd century BC, which lasted approximately 3.5 years.
So, what we have here is the same thing, 3 years and a half, a time, times, and a half of time, which is this number, this, and this, it's all the same. Different ways to say it, short time. But John, what John is doing in the book of Revelation is use this symbol to describe the oppression in his own time. Then Revelation used various expressions to refer to the same period. 42 months, you see it, chapter 13, verse 5, that was the last class that we saw. The 1,260 days, chapter 11, chapter 12. Can you calculate how many is those days? In years, can you calculate how many? 3.5. 42 months, 3 years and a half, 3 years and a half, 1,260 days, 3 years and a half. Is the same amount of time, he's saying, in months, in days, in years. What John is trying to do here is to use the same amount of time in so many different ways. This is apocalyptic language. Yes?
Yeah, could it also equate to Matthew, where there's 42 generations, 3 sets of 14, which is all the generations leading up to Jesus Christ?
Sorry, I don't get the question. Sorry, I didn't get it.
Chapter 1, verse 17, all those listed above include 14 generations from Abraham to David, 14 from David to the Babylonian exile, and 14 from the Babylonian exile to the Messiah, and that's 42.
Okay, when Matthew is trying to do that, these numbers, 14 generations, if you read the Matthew chapter 1, from the first name, there's 3 groups of people that you have. The first group of the, excuse me for the pronunciation right now, patriarch. I did good? Okay, then the first group is the patriarchs. The second group is the kings of Israel, and the third group is the people who return from the exile. So what Matthew is trying to say, is trying to tell us through these 3 groups is the first group, the patriarchs, are the promises of God. God fulfilled his promises. The second group is the kings. It means that God will rule the whole story. And the third group is the people who return from the exile, which means that God has a remnant people that he will save and he will keep saved. So that's why he's divided in group. There's another explanation, but if this 42, that 42 in the gospel is related to this 42, the simple question is, I don't know.
Well, it's all connected is what I'm saying, and I think it's just always good to focus on how Jesus is part of it all.
Yeah, could be connected. Could be connected. I'm not gonna say that yes or no because it's not something that I considered previously. So maybe we can study it in another in a parallel way to see if there is a connection between this 42, number 42, and the 42 in the Gospel of Matthew. But yes, it's interesting that is when you made the addition is the same number, and it could be related.
Yeah, well, when I'm sorry, I haven't.
No, it's okay. It's
I've
okay.
been here for a while, but as soon as you said 42, that was the first 42 I thought of, because there's 3 generations of 14 times 3 is 42.
Okay, perfect. So what we have here, then I tell you we have 42 months. We have 1,260 days and times and a half of time, which is the same number. They called a time a year. So what we have is the same amount of time in so many different ways. The repetition, and this is what John is repeating. Remember, repetition in the ancient world is a way to teach, and we can see it now. This is one of the ways to teach kids to repeat the same thing, and this is the Bible uses a lot the repetition. For example, in when you're reading the book of Genesis, chapter 1, when God is creating, He says so many times. He says, "And God saw that it was good." That repetition, the same statement. It's not a random statement. God is trying to tell us, or put in your minds, and put in the minds of the people who read the book of Genesis, that His creation is good, and He's doing it through repetition. Also, you can see it, the Psalms 118 and 117 and 118. Because God is good, because God is good. His mercy is forever. His love endures forever. That repetition is also a way to put a knowledge in our mind. Why then John is repeating the same thing here? He's trying to say that the crisis that the people of God will live, the time of oppression, it's short. That's what he's trying to say through the same number. So now, chapter 14. As an introduction in the chapter 14, what we have here in the chapter 14 of Revelation is a counterpoint to Revelation chapter 13. While the previous chapters, chapter 12, chapter 13, you see the persecution. Chapter 12, you see the persecution of the women who represents the people of God. She was persecuted by a dragon. And then in chapter 13, you'll see the two beasts, a beast coming out of the sea, another beast coming out of the earth. And both of them represent the evil power coming to trying to destroy the work of God and trying to destroy the people of God. Then you see that God says, no, the evil is not going to destroy. But what happened with the chapter 14? What you're going to see here, while the previous chapters present two beasts and the imperial power that demands absolute loyalty, chapter 14 reveals the destiny of the faithful and God's final judgment upon oppressive powers. The natural question, if you read chapter 12 and chapter 13 and you see, beasts are trying to destroy the people of God. The dragon is trying to destroy the people of God. The natural question is, what's going to happen with the people of God? So, chapter 14 will answer that question. It is a chapter of comfort for persecuted churches and a warning to those who collaborate with the system represented by the beast. The structure of this chapter will be as follows. Number one, we already saw the number. What is the number? Or what is the meaning of this number? But we will see it again. Then we will see three angels with a message. Very interesting. And the third section will be the eschatological harvest and vintage. That's what we're going to see in this part. So we will go for the first part. Section 1, the Lamb and the 1,044, that number. Reader. Go for it.
Then I looked, and there before me was the Lamb, standing on Mount Zion, and with him 144,000 who had his name and his Father's name written on their foreheads. And I heard a sound from heaven like the roar of rushing waters, and like a loud peal of thunder. The sound I heard was like that of harpists playing their harps. And they sang a new song before the throne and before the four living creatures and the elders. No one could learn the song except the 144,000 who had been redeemed from the earth. These are those who did not defile themselves with women, for they remain virgins. They follow the Lamb wherever he goes. They were purchased from among mankind and offered as firstfruits to God and the Lamb. No lie was found in their mouths. They are blameless.
Nice. Then, just as a friendly reminder, a little briefing here. When we talk about this number, we are talking that it represents the totality of God's people. Remember, this is not a literal number. And we saw in previous chapters what are the issues if you believe or you assume that it is a literal number, but it represents all the people saved by God. So when John says that there's details here, then I looked and there before me was who is there? The Lamb. Who's the Lamb? Jesus. Of course. Remember the chapter 5 says that he was slain, and because of his blood we are saved. Number 2, standing on the Mount of Zion. Do you remember what is the Mount of Zion? Okay, I will tell in a while. And that the whole people saved by God, they are with the Lamb in the Mount of Zion. So this is a very powerful symbol. And also it says that who had his name and his Father's name written on their foreheads. So I assume that so you know a couple of things about here that about this because we have talked about in the previous chapters. Number one, this number represents that all the people saved by God. I mean, the perfect number of the perfect people saved by God. And number two, in a literal perspective, a seal on the forehead signifies belonging and identity. In the Roman world, it was common to mark properties. It means if I have a slave, I mark it in the forehead. It means that slave belongs to Luis. So every time a slave is walking on the streets, and they have hit that mark, that seal in their forehead, everybody knows who's the owner of that slave. So the people used to mark property, slaves, and soldiers. John uses this imagery to affirm that the believers, truly believers, belong to God rather than the empire. So when John is trying to say, is writing this, he says, I saw the perfect people of God. They were with the Lamb standing on the Mount of Zion. And remember, the Mount of Zion represents the Mount of Victory. So now, can you look at it? So John in chapters 12 and 13, he's looking at the dragon and beasts trying to destroy the people of God. And take your minds to the first century. A persecuted church is reading this. And they are reading, there's a dragon who are trying to destroy the church. And the dragon has two beasts, the imperial power and the religious power, trying to destroy the church. But look at the image now. John says, then I look, and there before me was the Lamb. The Lamb in front of the people, standing on the Mount of Victory, the perfect people of God who got the mark, the seal of salvation and identity by God. John is trying to say, even when the dragons and beasts are trying to destroy the people of God, they are not scared. They are not scared because they know who are with them. And remember, Jesus said, I'm going to be with you till the end of the times. They know who are with them. They know where they are, and they know who they are. It's about to know, to recognize who is with us, where we are, and who we are. If we know these three things, we are not going to be harmed by the evil powers of Satan. If we are walking with the Lamb, if we are in victory, and if we know our identity as property of God, servants of God, slaves of God, then we know our destiny, and no matter what is in front of us, because we know what's going to happen. Yes, Mystery.
I just see that as a comfort for us today. Absolutely. That's what God's message tells us today. We belong to Him. He's in control. We know where we're going. And that's the comfort.
That's right. And it comes, remember, we have a tension here, chapters 12 and 13, when we're reading these beasts are destroying the earth, they are destroying everything, and the normal question is what's going to happen with the church. Then John turned the side to a very peaceful image of the church. Yes, sir?
It just brings me some joy also, like she always did, can't say her name. Turi, okay. Still don't got it, but anyway. How David said in Psalm 23, you prepare a feast for me in the presence of my enemy, not away from my enemies, to where I can safely be comforted away from my enemies, but instead, I can have the comfort of God to be able to sit down, enjoy a meal, even surrounded by enemies.
You are totally fine. That's what we feel as a church. that even when the crisis, the persecution, the oppression is coming, we know where we are. And when you know, let me put it with this example. You watch a movie, I don't know, Impossible Mission, I don't know, you name it. Those action. I don't know, what is the name in English of that movie? Mission Impossible? Yeah. You name it, Born, The Legacy, or Avatar, Avengers. Name it an action movie. You watch it the first time, and while you are watching this bad guy is trying to destroy you, are scared because you know what's going to happen. Will they destroy the people? Will they win the things? But you watch it the second time, and you are watching the movie with a person who never watched the movie, and the person says, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? But you are okay because, you know, I know what's going to happen. I know that in the next, I know what's going to happen with the plot. I know what's going to happen with the bad guy. And a person is jumping and say, oh, he will die. And I say, no, he's not going to die. There will come a guy in an airplane, and those lies that, you know, they are very exciting. If you have watched Top Gun, you know all these things.
Good analogy.
David expressed those same things in Psalm 23. Prepared a table before me with, that whole psalm expresses that same idea.
That's right. You are connected both here. They are expressing the same thing about be in peace, even when the surrounding situation is not good. Then John says in verse number 2, and heard a sound from heaven like the roar of rushing waters and like a loud peal of thunder. The sound I heard was like that of harpists playing their harps. Remember something, the harp is an instrument that it's bringing peace. It is designed as an instrument when the musician that plays the harp, he's supposed to be a person bringing peace. So what you see verses 1 and 2 in this chapter 14 is peace in a hard times. Remember, this church, they are living under persecution, under oppression. And what God sees is peace. God sees a worship. Totally different. And it says, and they sang a new song before the throne and before the 4 living creatures and the elders. And it says, no one could learn the song except the number of the perfect people. No one could learn the song. It means worship as a code of identity of the people of God. Only the people of God are the ones who truly worship God. And they are who had been redeemed from the earth. Then, this is interesting here. Oh, wait a minute. Okay. Verse 4 says, and I will go a little bit back. These are those who did not defile themselves with women, for they remain what? Virgins. Then what is the meaning of that? If we take it as a literal interpretation, we will say, oh, these kind of people, they never had sexual relationship or stuff like that. Well, I don't think this is the right meaning of this. But I will ask a question just to have a conversation here. If you have read the Old Testament, what is the meaning of being virgin? Yes?
My Bible says pure like a virgin, so I think it's just meaning purity.
That's right. It means purity. You are right. If we have, what version are you using? Living Translation. Yes, it's a modern version, which is good. Then they add this they add these details in order to make the people understand. It was easy. It was so easy. Then it means purity. They are not talking about people who are in, for example, in medieval ages, they interpreted very literal, and that's why they say we need to make the celibacy or stay without husband, without wife. But what the Bible text is trying to tell us is this is about purity. People who remain pure. Do you remember also another meaning of virgin in the Bible? Okay, let me fix the question and put it in another ways. Do you remember an image that God uses to describe idolatry in the Old Testament related to being virgin? For example, okay, let me tell you. Remember that God said in the book of Hosea, the book of Amos, he says, I have been like a husband for you, but you behave as a bad woman, taking a lot of husbands everywhere. You have been like a prostitute. So, what John is trying to tell us here, these kind of people, they remain virgin just because they serve God. It means they remain pure, what he's trying to say. The symbolic meaning of this word virgin here is spiritual faithfulness in the face of idolatry. It means people who never surrendered to the imperial idols, who never offered worship in the pagan temples. That's what he's trying to say. Should be noted that in the book of Revelation, religious unfaithfulness is often described using sexual imagery. Specifically, the prostitution of Babylon chapter, we will see it in a couple of chapters, chapter 17 and chapter 18. Thus, virginity symbolizes exclusive loyalty to God here. So the people that John is trying to describe here, it's people, they know who they are. That's why they have in their foreheads the mark. They are in the Mount of Victory. It means they are living in victory. That's why they are standing in the Mount of Zion, and they are also just next to the Lamb, next to the salvation, but they also remain virgin. It means they have loyalty to God, not to the imperial power. That's the kind of people that he's describing. But also, we have in our second section, we have 3 messages from 3 angels.
Then I saw another angel flying in midair, and he had the eternal gospel to proclaim to those who live on the earth, to every nation, tribe, language, and people. He said in a loud voice, Fear God and give him glory, because the hour of his judgment has come. Worship him who made the heavens, the earth, the sea, and the springs of water. A second angel followed and said, Fallen! Fallen is Babylon the Great, which made all the nations drink the maddening wine of her adulteries. A third angel followed them and said in a loud voice, If anyone worships the beast and its image and receives its mark on their forehead or on their hand, they too will drink the wine of God's fury, which has been poured full strength into the cup of his wrath. They will be tormented with burning sulfur in the presence of the holy angels and of the Lamb. And the smoke of their torment will rise forever and ever. There will be no rest, day or night, for those who worship the beast and its image, or for anyone who receives the mark of its name. This calls for patient endurance on the part of the people of God who keep his commands and remain faithful to Jesus. Then I heard a voice from heaven say, Write this, Blessed are the dead who die in the Lord from now on. Yes, says the Spirit, they will rest from their labor, for their deeds will follow them.
Okay, so we will go with the first angel, basic things here. It says, the Bible says, Then I saw another angel flying in the midair. It says, and he had the eternal gospel to proclaim. So, everybody knows here that, and if you don't know it, you were here when, for example, last Sunday Slade was talking about that, and we will just say a couple of things in the same thing that Slade says here. The word gospel that we have, comes from a Greek term, evangelion, or evangelion as you want to pronounce it, and it comes from two words, ev, which means good, and angelion, which means news or announcement. That's why we say that the meaning of the word gospel is good news. But why it is good news? Is the Bible is creating a new word with gospel? Not at all. Remember that they have the Greek as a language, and the Greek has a bunch of words as we have it. But in what kind of contexts the word gospel is used? Number one, evangelium or gospel in the Greek world was a word used in the context of war in two ways. Way number one, evangelion was, or gospel, I will say evangelium to keep it Greek. The word evangelion is used when your kingdom is fighting, we win, and the army, they send a messenger to say to the great city, we won the war. So it brings peace because the people in the city, they were very expectant about what's going to happen with this war, and this messenger comes and they say, we won the war. I mean, the war is over. It brings a lot of joy to the people of the city, of course, because, I mean, we are not going to be slaves to another kingdom. And number two, when the king is returning from a war or for another kind of conflict, a messenger is sent to say to the people, the king is coming. We have a new king. So when we think in the word gospel, then we understand why we call it good news, why we call it a good announcement or a good message. It's because the gospel, it means the message of the victory of God, is a message to tell us that the war is over. What kind of war? That Christ, the Lamb, in the cross, he already defeated Satan. And he already defeated the evil powers in the cross. But also, it's an announcement that the king is coming. So every time you believe in the gospel, you believe that number one, our King Jesus Christ is coming again, and you believe that he won the war. That's why the gospel is good news. It's good news because you don't need to fight this war because God did it. It's a good news because when you see the world is hopeless, but the gospel, this message tells you that the king is coming again to fix all the things. So when we read about this, here. Then I saw another angel that was flying in the middle, and he had the eternal gospel. It has the good news. He has the message that says that the war is over, that the king is coming to proclaim to those who live on the earth, to every nation, tribe, language, and people. And he said in a loud voice, fear God and give him glory, because the hour of his judgment has come. Worship him. And remember that I told you last class, the book of Revelation is about this word here. Who you worship. Where is your worship? So, we have here the second angel. The second angel, if we go to the second angel here, verse 8, a second angel followed and said, Fallen. Fallen is Babylon the Great, which made all the nations drink the maddening wine of her adulteries. Remember, last verse 1, verse 4, they remain virgin. Now the Bible says that Babylon comes with adulteries. Question, do you know what is Babylon or what was Babylon? What? Yeah, that's the meaning. That's the meaning of Babylon. But the real Babylon in the Old Testament, do you remember what was Babylon? Excuse me?
The great city with a lot of adultery.
Yeah, well, it's an empire. Remember, Babylon, it's an empire.
False idols.
What?
The false idols.
Also, yes, it represents false religion, false idols. Why, but why? Why Babylon is representing these kind of things? Why do you think, you are right when you say false idols, false religion. But the question is, why Babylon represents these kind of evil things? Let me hear your thoughts. Not all at once, please. Take turns.
Because they were the ones who were taking God's people in exile.
Sorry, could you repeat it?
Is it because they were the ones who had taken God's people into exile?
Yes, that's one of the reasons. That's why, number one, if you go history, you will go in the 586 before Christ. Nebuchadnezzar is how you say it in English, right? Nebuchadnezzar, yeah. He was the emperor of the Babylon Empire, and they took the people of God from Jerusalem to Babylon. That's why, if you go to the book of Jeremiah, you will see Jeremiah is crying because he see how the people of God is taken from their houses. The people of God is being dragged to Babylon. They are suffering because of that. Then you turn your side to the book of Ezekiel, and Ezekiel is watching how the glory of God is abandoning the temple because of the people. Then you go to the book of Daniel, and you will see the whole book of Daniel. The plot of the book of Daniel happens in Babylon. Remember all these kind of things. Babylon was an evil empire. And they made the people of God to worship pagan idols. They made the people of God to abandon God, to worship their gods. That's why when we read about Babylon in the New Testament, it's a symbol of false religion, false idols. And it's the same here. John is trying to tell us, just a couple of minutes. Okay. John is trying to tell us here the false religion, the false idols are what? Before the Lamb. Why? That's the reason. Because they made all the nations to drink the wine of her adulteries. They made the people to worship their gods. But the good thing is, when you go to the verse 4, you will see that the people of God, they never worship their gods. That's why John calls them virgins. And I will close with the third angel. And the third angel says, he warns against, let's read it first. Third angel here, verse 9.
Verse 9?
Yeah.
A third angel followed them and said in a loud voice, If anyone worships the beast and its image and receives its mark on their forehead or on their hand, they too will drink the wine of God's fury, which has been poured full strength into the cup of his wrath. They will be tormented with burning sulfur in the presence of the holy angels and of the Lamb.
Okay. So what we have here is a warning about those who they worship God, but also they are trying to worship false gods. And as we have been talking about, what is the meaning of idolatry, false religion, and that it's not only to go to a temple. You can worship idols because every single thing in this world you can transform it in an idol. So he warns against those who worship the beast and receive his mark. Here appears one of the most severe texts in the book of Revelation. The warning must be understood within the context of imperial loyalty. Worshipping the beast means submitting to the idolatrous order. Rejecting it implies persevering in Christian fidelity. Verse 12 summarizes the ideal of community. Here is the perseverance of the saints. So when you go to verse 12, reader.
This calls for patient endurance on the part of the people of God who keep his commands and remain faithful to Jesus.
Okay, then for the next class, we will see the verse 13, and the last section of the chapter 14 of the book of Revelation. The final thoughts that I want to give you is the chapter 14 of the book of Revelation is about loyalty, to remain faithful with the Lamb, with our identity as a property of God, and living in victory like the Mount of Zion. So you are all dismissed from this class today. What?
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir.
Let me show you something kind of cool.
Yeah.
I've always seen it before, but on 14 over here, it says Isaiah 21:9. And this is the lookout. It says the lookout is a lion in 8. And then it talks about Babylon has fallen, all the image of his gods like hair on the ground. I thought that was kind of cool. It's talking about the false idols and stuff like that. False religion. I should have said it, but I saw it too late.
No, you still said it, bro.
Yeah. Hey, great stuff, man.
Thank you, brother.
Are you still using this?
Yes.
Okay, I'll leave it on where I'll just take it on Sunday so it's easier to read.
Of course. Of course.
Everybody's amazed how big it is. Oh, it's hard to find. I mean, it's so big, it's 16-point print. It was ever the whole Bible. Imagine how big that would have to be.